Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're looking into something really quite unsettling. It's a story that starts with an anonymous online confession back in 2016, and it might just possibly shed light on a disappearance that happened decades earlier.
Yeah, it's a story that's really stuck with a lot of people. It kind of shows how these digital whispers can echo, maybe uncover things long buried.
It really does. It's a reminder that sometimes bits of information, maybe from the past, maybe something recent online, they can just converge.
Exactly. And create this really haunting picture. It makes you question what might actually be hidden, by time and memory.
Okay, so let's get into it. The whole thing really kicks off in 2016. There's this anonymous user using what they call a throwaway account.
Right, just a temporary profile for anonymity.
Yeah, and they post on Ask Reddit, which, for anyone who doesn't know, is this huge online forum. People ask questions, others answer, sometimes with incredibly personal stories.
Some very candid stuff comes out on there.
Definitely. And this post, it was a confession, a really disturbing one. This person detailed something from their childhood back in the 1980s.
Okay.
They confessed that they and a couple of friends, all kids, apparently left another child to die.
Wow, that's heavy. Something that would definitely stick with you.
For decades, clearly. The post described where it happened, this Dirt Cliff Cove.
A specific place, okay.
And they described the other kid, the one who fell, as a weird, creepy kid. They thought maybe in hindsight he was, and this is their words, probably mentally handicapped in some way.
It sounds harsh now, but they did add context, didn't they?
They did. They mentioned it was the 80s and, quote, they weren't exactly raised PC. Which, gives some perspective on how a kid might have seen things then.
Right, filtering another kid's differences through the lens of that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the story goes, this user and two friends were heading to their secret spot, their base. And they find this other kid already there, sitting up top in what they called their guard chair.
Territory dispute, kid style.
Pretty much. They yelled at him to get out. He apparently yelled back, "Make me."
Okay. Defiant.
And then started lobbing dirt clods and sticks down at us. That's what the post said. So the group got mad, ran around to climb up the cliff from another angle.
To confront him, presumably?
Yeah. And this is where the memory gets really vague for the poster. They wrote, and this part is chilling, it gets pretty fuzzy here, but all I remember is he fell. I still remember the sound.
Oof, just the sound. That's powerful.
Isn't it? Just boiled down to that.
Yeah.
So they get back down to the bottom, and the kid is there, lying in a, quote, very awkward position with blood coming out of his mouth.
Horrifying, especially for kids to see.
Absolutely. And their reaction. They freaked out and ran home immediately.
Understandable, I guess. Panic.
Total panic, and then
Okay.
silence. They never spoke about it again, not to each other, didn't even go back to that cove for over a month. And the crucial detail, the body was never found.
Never found. That just adds this whole other layer of mystery and dread, doesn't it?
It really does. The Redditor kind of guessed that maybe it made a small news item back then. Like, missing mentally disturbed child found dead after fall or something.
Just speculation on their part.
Yeah, and they even mentioned trying to ask their parents about it maybe 10 years before the post, but all they got was a vague, yeah, didn't he go missing? And they didn't push it.
Didn't want to dig too deep, maybe.
Well, maybe. The post just ended with, "This still haunts me to this day." Which, you can believe it.
Yeah, absolutely. And what happened next online, that's almost as compelling as the story itself, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
Because even though the user deleted the post pretty quickly.
The internet never forgets. Screenshots, copies. It was out there.
Exactly. And Reddit users, they became like instant digital detectives.
They started digging.
Their first clue came from the user's post history. It wasn't much, but it showed they lived in Missouri.
Just that one detail. Missouri.
That was enough. That little breadcrumb led to this incredible online search.
It's amazing what can be pieced together sometimes. So, armed with Missouri and 1980s.
They started cross-referencing, looking through databases of unsolved missing persons cases, old newspaper archives online, cold case forums.
Methodical work. Looking for a boy missing in Missouri around that time, maybe circumstances that fit.
Persistent work. And incredibly, they found a potential match.
This is where Scott Clay Schultz comes in.
Precisely. Scott Clay Schultz went missing from St. Charles, Missouri, June 8th, 1988. He was 9 years old.
9 years old. St. Charles, Missouri, 1988. The location fits, the time frame fits.
It was an astonishing connection to make just from that anonymous post, linking it to a real kid, a real cold case.
So let's look at the official details of Scott's disappearance. What do we know from reports back then?
Well, on the day he vanished, June 8th, 1988, there was a really heavy thunderstorm in St. Charles.
Okay, weather playing a factor potentially.
Witnesses saw him walking just before the storm really hit hard. His older sister, Stacy, said she last saw him playing on top of a hill after school.
Playing on a hill. Was this like a remote area?
Not exactly. It was a neighborhood, lots of kids around, but it was also close to farmlands and, importantly, dirt trails.
Dirt trails, okay.
Apparently, the storm came and went pretty quick, so the family initially just thought he'd gone inside a friend's house to wait it out.
Right, not immediate panic, just thought he was safe somewhere nearby.
Exactly. It wasn't until later that evening, maybe around 8 p.m., when he still wasn't home, that his parents called the police.
And the search started the next morning?
Yes, a huge search.
Yeah.
Dogs, helicopters, horseback riders, they covered a lot of ground.
A major effort.
And it didn't stop there. About 6 weeks later, the police did another big search. They actually dug out this network of caves, a labyrinth of caves, on a wooded hillside where Scott and other kids were known to play.
Wow, digging out caves, they were really thorough.
Incredibly thorough, but nothing, no trace of Scott was ever found.
Still missing after all that.
Yeah.
Which makes that Reddit confession, if it's connected, even more, well, plausible in a dark way.
Plausible how?
Well, think about the location described in the post. The Dirt Cliff Cove.
Right, with dirt trails and steep gorges, potentially about a mile or so walk from where Scott was last seen.
And you mentioned the thunderstorm that day. Our research showed that area, up until around 1990, was prone to flash floods during heavy storms like that one.
Ah, a flash flood.
Exactly. A powerful force, easily capable of washing away a 9-year-old's body, especially from a place like a dirt cove or gorge.
So that could explain why, even with those extensive searches, no body was ever found.
It's a horrifying possibility, but yes, it provides a potential mechanism, a way to connect the Redditor's memory of a fall with the reality of Scott remaining missing without a trace.
It really makes you think. But we have to be careful here. There are different ways to look at this Reddit post, aren't there?
Definitely. We essentially have 3 main possibilities.
Yeah.
First, the whole story could just be fake, made up.
A hoax. Why would someone do that?
Who knows? Attention, boredom. The internet has plenty of elaborate fiction. That line about the memory being fuzzy could just be a storytelling trick.
Okay, so possibility 1. It's fake. What's number 2?
Possibility 2. The story is real. The Redditor is telling the truth about their memory, but it's not about Scott Schultz. It's about some other child.
Another child who fell and was never found. In Missouri in the 80s.
It's possible, I suppose. Maybe an unreported incident or records lost to time. Rural areas, things sometimes slip through the cracks. But finding proof of that, extremely difficult without more details.
Right. Which leaves us with the third possibility, the one that grabbed everyone's attention.
That the story is real and it is about Scott Clay Schulte.
And this is where we have to look at the details that match and the ones that maybe don't quite line up.
Exactly. One potential discrepancy is the Redditor calling the child mentally handicapped or having mental issues. Official reports about Scott don't mention that specifically.
So there was that newspaper report, right?
Yes. A contemporary newspaper report mentioned Scott had just finished first grade when he disappeared, even though he was 9 years old.
9 years old in first grade? That suggests he might have been held back.
It does. Maybe a couple of years older than his classmates, perhaps due to a learning disability or some kind of developmental or social difference.
So a child in the 80s seeing another kid who was older but in their grade, or maybe just seemed different, might label them as having mental issues.
It's certainly plausible, isn't it? It fits how kids might perceive and describe differences, especially back then, without the nuance or terminology we might use today. It might bridge that gap between the Redditor's memory and Scott's situation.
It potentially aligns it, yeah. Still, it's not concrete proof.
Not at all. And it's crucial to remember that the St. Charles police, while aware of the Reddit confession, they reportedly still lean towards an abduction theory.
They have persons of interest, apparently.
That's what reports suggest. So for law enforcement, this online post is likely just one piece of a very complex puzzle. Compelling, maybe worth looking into, but not enough to completely change their primary investigation direction without more evidence.
Especially with no body ever being found, that complicates everything.
Absolutely. And we also can't rule out that the Redditor perhaps found Scott's cold case online first and then crafted their story to fit those details.
That's a cynical view, but possible.
It is.
Mhm.
But the details they included, like the Dirt Cliff Cove and the specific memory of the fall, felt authentic enough to make people and seemingly investigators take notice.
So where does this leave us? We have this anonymous haunting story from the internet. It could be fiction, it could be a distorted memory of something real but unrelated, or it could be the missing piece in Scott Clay Schulte's disappearance. Whichever it is, the fact that this digital confession connected so directly to a real-world cold case is, it's deeply unsettling, isn't it?
It really is. It highlights that blurry line between online stories and actual tragedies.
Yeah. And it shows how these old cases aren't necessarily cold anymore, not in the same way.
That's a great point. The internet acts like this huge collective memory bank now. Things resurface. Secrets maybe don't stay buried quite as easily.
Makes you wonder what else is out there, doesn't it? Just waiting for someone to connect the dots.
It really does. What other truths are just lingering in the digital ether, waiting for a spark?
Well, this has been a really thought-provoking, if somber, deep dive today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
For more unsettling stories and true crime narratives like this, we hope you'll like, share, and subscribe to the Horror Docs channel. We appreciate your support and hope to see you again soon for our next deep dive.